Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Jenny, and today we're talking about To All the Boys I've Loved Before. We're kicking off February with a really cute rom-com. I know a lot of you guys requested this one, and it's a comfort watch for a lot of people, so I thought it was the perfect movie to start off the month. If you didn't know, Megan is on maternity leave, so I'm flying solo on the podcast again today, but she will be back very, very soon. And in the meantime, thanks for sticking with me. Like I said, I know that To All the Boys I've Loved Before is a favorite series for a lot of people. My sister included, actually. When I think of this series, I think of my sister because she's who introduced me to it. I think this was maybe my second time watching it ever. This movie is so cute and heartwarming, and I just love how it explores sisterhood and family and grief. It's just much deeper than a little teen romance, you know what I mean? The premise of the movie is this. A high school girl named Laura Jean writes letters to the boys she is infatuated with, but keeps them in her closet instead of mailing them. Things change when her sister discovers the letters and mails them. This movie came out in 2018, and now that I think about it, 2018 might have been a little resurgence of rom-coms. Or at least the rom-coms that came out were actually good. We had Crazy Rich Asians, Love, Simon, Set It Up, and then some more teeny bopper ones like The Kissing Booth and Sierra Burgess is a Loser. So I don't know what was going on with 2018, but I feel like we either cover movies that are from 2003, 2004, or 2018. There is no in between. To All the Boys I've Loved Before is based on the 2014 young adult book series by Jeni. Again, my sister loves this book series, but I've never read it. I would love to know if you guys have read it. We've talked about Jeni on the podcast before, actually, because she also wrote The Summer I Turned Pretty. I think that was maybe our third episode ever. Once the finale of season 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty came out, we recapped all of season 2 in an episode. And I think we're definitely going to have to cover season 3 when it comes out. And if you guys need a refresher before it comes out, you can always revisit that episode because we kind of give all the highlights of the season. Jeni nowadays is kind of known for her young adult romance books and for being involved in the adaptations. But something that I thought was interesting is she actually executive produced this film, and this was her first adaptation. So I kind of love that they had her on as an executive producer. I feel like normally that only happens when somebody has already made a name for themselves. And so I could see like the first movie being produced by somebody else and then Jeni getting to come in later after the success of the first movie. But no, they just had her involved right away, and I love that. Jeni posted how she came up with the idea for this movie, and she actually has the email of the original idea that she had, and I'm going to read it to you real quick. The subject line is book idea, and it was sent January 5th, 2010. Yesterday in my cab ride home, I had a title idea for a book, To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Cute, right? I just need to figure out what the book will be about. Ever since high school, I've done this thing for closure, when I'm trying to say goodbye and close the door on a person. I write a long letter and say all the stuff I would never say in person, and then I seal it up and put it in my hat box and never send it. Is there something there? Maybe she writes these letters and they accidentally get sent. I love when authors share how an idea came to be, and it's so interesting that this one started off with she had the title in her head first, and then I love that she drew on her own personal experience. She did write letters to people that she never sent, and that kind of personalizes it, and it's just a really cute concept. I love it. I have a quote from Jeni here that says, "Even before the book came out in 2014, there was interest in making a movie. But the interest died as soon as I made it clear the lead had to be Asian American. One producer said to me, as long as the actress captures the spirit of the character, age and race don't matter. I said, well, her spirit is Asian American. That was the end of that." And thank goodness she put her foot down, honestly. We hear this story all the time from Hollywood, and it's so disappointing, but I love these kind of triumphant stories where the execs don't win and they don't get to change these really vital, important aspects of the story. And honestly, I don't think this movie would have been so successful had Hollywood changed Laura Jean. And speaking of, let's talk about who plays Lara Jean. Lara Jean is played by Lana Condor. She's from Boo Bitch, Moonshot, and Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. In the movie, Lara Jean is half Korean American, but Lana is actually Vietnamese. She spent her first few months of life in an orphanage and was adopted by white American parents. And something I found that was really sad is she recently lost her mother just a few months before she got married, which we'll talk about her wedding in a second, but that's just so tragic and heartbreaking. Lana is a ballet dancer. She studied ballet growing up, and her acting debut was as Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse. But I will say, the To All the Boys series is where she really gained recognition. She's been in a relationship with the actor Anthony de la Tour, who plays young Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, by the way. They've been together since August 2015. They got engaged in December 2021, and they married in October 2024. Their wedding is featured on Vogue Weddings, so if you're curious about that kind of thing, you can go look up all the pictures from their wedding and learn more about their day. And they both got matching tattoos of their wedding date the day after they got married, and neither of them had had any tattoos before that. And here's a random fun fact about Lana that I just had to share because I knew that you guys would like it. She said that her first experience of heartbreak was watching Troy and Gabriella break up in High School Musical 2. She cried and she didn't know what that feeling was. Relatable. I just thought that was really cute. We get it, Lana. We've all been there. And then there's Noah Centineo, who plays Peter. He's from The Fosters, Sierra Burgess is a Loser, The Recruit. He actually almost played Josh in this movie, and if you need a reminder, Josh is the neighbor and Lara Jean's sister's boyfriend. The director, Susan Johnson, really liked Noah Centineo and Israel Broussard, who plays Josh, and I think she just was trying to figure out who played which part. And then she saw how much chemistry he had with Lana Condor, and that was it. He was Peter, which I think makes more sense between the two of them anyway, but maybe I'm biased just because I'm seeing the end result. And by the way, I think you can see videos of them doing their chemistry read together on YouTube. I watched a little bit of it, and they're just so cute. I think Noah has a very natural way of acting. I don't know if that makes sense, but he really comes across as like very loose and casual. I'm not an actor, so I have no idea if that makes any sense at all, but just from a non-acting point of view, it's very, very noticeable in his performances. When I was looking into Noah, I very quickly found that he dated Alexis Ren from 2019 to 2020. Alexis Ren, the model, the Instagram model. I don't know how I didn't know that, but I fell into a little rabbit hole about it, to be honest, and I was looking into it, and I guess their breakup inspired Alexis Ren to start making R&B music? ? I think she only has like 3 songs, but inspired by her heartbreak with Noah. Noah says that 13 Going on 30 is his favorite rom-com, which just makes me so happy because it's one of my favorite rom-coms too. And he says that he wishes that he could have played the adult version of Matt in the movie, who is played by Mark Ruffalo. He says that Mark Ruffalo is his celebrity doppelganger, and I'm not really sure that I see that. But the top review for this movie on Letterboxd is, Kavinsky has the general vibe of a teenage Mark Ruffalo, and I'm losing my entire mind over it. So, Noah Centineo is not the only one who thinks he looks like Mark Ruffalo. Then there's Janelle Parrish, who plays Margot, Lara Jean's older sister. You know her from Pretty Little Liars, of course. She plays Mona, and she's also from the Bratz movie. She played Jade. I would say that those are her 2 biggest roles that I recognized, but I know she's been in a bunch of other things, and she's also done Broadway, and she's been on Dancing with the Stars and The Masked Singer. And she's a very talented singer, which I didn't know. I saw from Janelle's Instagram that she was at Lana's wedding in October, and so if you want to see pictures of her at the wedding with Lana, you can go check on her Instagram. It's very cute. I will say something that's really cute is that all of these actors seem to be friends and to be really close with each other. Lana will often mention Noah in posts. I know that Janelle was recently with Anna Cathcart, who plays Kitty, the little sister. And that's always really heartwarming, I think, when you see casts get along after the project has wrapped already. One other thing I saw is that Janelle kind of helped coach Lana with fame because Lana, her career blew up after this movie, and Janelle had already experienced fame from Pretty Little Liars. So she kind of took that big sister role here with Lana, which is cute. And then just quick on her personal life, Janelle is married to a chemical engineer named Chris Long. And I love it when a celebrity marries just a regular person with a regular job. I'm going to fly through the rest of the cast now, just so you get an idea of each person, but I'm not going to go deep into them. We have Anna Cathcart, who I mentioned plays Kitty, and she has her own spin-off called XO Kitty. It's a TV show. Then there's Israel Broussard, who plays Josh. He's from the movie Flipped and also The Bling Ring. And last but not least, we have John Corbett, who plays Dr. Covey, Laura Jean's father. We've talked about him a lot before. He's from Sex and the City, United States of Terra, Parenthood, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Raise Your Voice, many other things. But we do have episodes on both My Big Fat Greek Wedding and Raise Your Voice, where we get into some really fun facts about him. So you should definitely go check those out if you're curious. Okay, let's get into the movie. We open in a field where Laura Jean is walking toward a boy and saying, "We knew that it was wrong, that he was betrothed to my sister, but if this wasn't what he wanted, then why did he come to the field of desire?" Then she gets hit in the face with a pillow, and we see that she's actually reading a romance book on her bed. Her little sister Kitty asks if they're hanging out or what, and Laura Jean says she just wants to finish this chapter. Their dad is cooking, and Kitty says, "I hate when Dad makes Korean food. It always tastes like butt." Their older sister Margot says, regardless, they're going to take a bite and say, just like Mom's. We find out that their mom died before Kitty was even eating solid food. Then Margot's boyfriend Josh shows up for dinner. He's also their neighbor, and he's the boy that Laura Jean was imagining in the field. We find out that Margot is leaving for Scotland tomorrow for school and won't be able to come home for Thanksgiving. Josh does the cutest thing and surprises her with tickets that he has to come visit her for Thanksgiving in Scotland, but she's not excited about this, and she ends up breaking up with him. Laura Jean tells us that before Josh and Margot were together, she and him were friends, but now things are different. She wrote him a letter to help her understand what she was feeling, but never intended to send it because she wouldn't do that to her sister. And I will say, Laura Jean has such a strong loyalty to her sister in this movie, where it never crosses her mind to cross the boundaries with Josh. And I really appreciate that and like that about her character. And honestly, maybe some of Jenny Han's other characters in The Summer I Turned Pretty could do with some of those boundaries and loyalties around their siblings' partners. Just a thought. Laura Jean's letter to Josh says, "Josh Sanderson, I liked you first. By all rights, you were mine. And if it had been me, I'd have packed you in my suitcase and taken you with me. Or you know what? I would have stayed. I would have never left you. Not in a million years, not for anything. P.S. I still love you, and that's a really huge problem for me, and it's also a really huge surprise. I swear I didn't know. All this time, I thought I was over it. How could I not be, when it's Margot you love? It's always been Margot." Laura Jean says that her letters are her most secret possessions, and there are 5 of them. Kenny from camp, Peter from 7th grade, Lucas from homecoming, John Ambrose from Model UN, and Josh. She writes these letters when she has a crush so intense that she doesn't know what to do. Margot tells Laura Jean that she broke up with Josh because before their mom died, she said she should never go to college with a boyfriend. Laura Jean says, "But you love him." And Margot says, "I know." One night, Laura Jean falls asleep on the couch during a Golden Girls marathon with Kitty, and Kitty sneaks into her room. The next school day, Peter Kavinsky comes up to her, and he's her middle school crush that she kissed once during Spin the Bottle, and he's now dating the mean popular girl named Jen. He says that he got her letter, and it's never going to happen. Laura Jean faints when she sees the letter in his hand, and when she wakes up, she sees that Josh also has a letter in his hand and is walking towards her. So in a moment of sheer panic, she makes out with Peter on the track to throw off Josh and get out of talking to him. which is just a wild move, Laura Jean. Then she runs to the girls' bathroom to hide, and another one of her old crushes, Lucas, slides a letter under the bathroom stall, and he tells her that he's gay. We get a little flashback to them going to the homecoming dance together, and we see Jeni Han there. She has a little cameo. She's the chaperone. I actually think Jeni Han cameos in most of her stuff. We always see her in The Summer I Turned Pretty. After school, Peter follows Laura Jean to a diner, and he just wants to clarify that it's not a good time because he and Jen, the popular girl, are in a weird place right now. And after the kiss, he feels like maybe his former rejection didn't take. Laura Jean tells him that she doesn't really like him, she just needed to make it look that way so someone else wouldn't think she liked them. Peter gets it out of her that it's Josh and learns that he's not the only guy who got a love letter and that there are 5. He offers to drive her home, and then he gets an idea that they should pretend to date so Jen will get back together with him, and so Josh doesn't find out she likes him. While Peter is dropping Laura Jean off, Josh sees this because he's the neighbor, and he isn't too happy about it. The next day at school, Laura Jean says, "Let's do this," and Peter kisses her and catches her off guard. Later, Laura Jean writes up a contract so they both understand the rules, and she tells him that she doesn't want him to kiss her anymore because she's never had a boyfriend before, and she doesn't want all of her firsts to be fake. But she does say he can put his hand in her back pocket, like in 16 Candles. Peter says that he can write her notes every day, and that Jen always was on him to do that for her, and he didn't, so she would be pissed if she saw that he was doing it for Laura Jean. He also says that she's got to come to the annual ski trip with him, and Laura Jean is surprised because that's 3 months away, but she says yes because she's like, we'll be ancient history by then. At school, Peter and Laura Jean walk with his hand in her pocket, and he spins her around. It's a very iconic scene of this movie, and the spinning around part was actually improvised by Noah. I guess he did it, and it was so good that they were like, ooh, we got to change the camera angles because this is perfect. Everyone at school believes that they're a couple, and Jen is super jealous already. Laura Jean is a little bit uncomfortable at first because she says that she's used to being invisible, and now she feels like all eyes are on her. Then Peter shows up at her house to take her to a party, which she doesn't want to do, but her dad convinces her to go. Before they go into the party, they prep first, and Peter takes down Laura Jean's hair and puts her favorite scrunchie around his wrist. But later at the party, Jen confronts him, takes Laura Jean's scrunchie, and puts her hair up with it. Peter and Laura Jean go to the diner after the party, and he asks why she's never dated anyone. She says that love scares her, because the more people you let into your life, the more can walk right out of it. He realizes now that this is about her mom, and he tells her that his dad left and has a new family now. And they kind of have this sweet moment of understanding between the two of them and vulnerability. And I get the sense that Peter hasn't had this with anyone else before. He hasn't really gotten to talk about his deeper emotions with anyone before. Josh shows up at Laura Jean's house one day and says he can't believe she's dating Peter because she's innocent and Peter is a dick. He asks about the letter, and she says that she wrote it a long time ago. She says that she doesn't know how to still be friends with him, and he says it's like he lost both Margot and Laura Jean when he and Margot broke up. The more time that Peter and Laura Jean spend together, the closer they get, and Laura Jean says that she sometimes pretends they're actually together. One day while she's sitting under the bleachers, she overhears him and Jen talking, and it's obvious that Jen wants to get back together with him. Laura Jean confides in Josh that she's going to be hurt when Peter and Jen inevitably get back together. Then Laura Jean tells Peter that maybe they should call it off. Since their original goal has been met, Jen is jealous and she and Josh are cool now. Really, she's wanting to call it off because she's starting to get real feelings for him. Peter says that they can't break up before the ski trip. On the ski trip, Laura Jean is avoiding Peter and doesn't plan on skiing. Instead, she's all set with her romance book, which is so relatable, it made me laugh. She and Lucas do Korean face masks, and Laura Jean tells him about how she and Peter have been faking their relationship, but then she fell for him. Lucas says that he can tell Peter likes her because he looks at her like a sexy little Rubik's Cube, which means that he can't figure her out, but he's trying. And then he tells her that Peter is probably waiting for her in the hot tub. So she goes, and sure enough, Peter's in the hot tub alone, and he admits his feelings for her. They end up making out, and Laura Jean goes to bed really happy. But the next day, when they get back from the ski trip, Jen tells Laura Jean that Peter slept in her room last night. Then she takes down her hair, and she's using her favorite scrunchie. Jen tells her that Peter gave it to her. Laura Jean immediately confronts Peter, and he admits that he did go to Jen's room last night. She tells him it's over, and she storms home. And then she's surprised to find at home that Margot is there. Margot's home from college for Christmas, and she's a little bit early because she finished her exams early. This entire time, Laura Jean has actually been avoiding Margot and not Skyping with her while she's been at school because she didn't want to lie to her about her new relationship with Peter and how it started. And it started, remember, because Josh got her love letter. So it's a whole mess, and she just really didn't want to let Margot down. Then Peter shows up to the house, and he tries to explain that nothing happened between him and Jen last night. Laura Jean doesn't accept his explanation, and Josh shows up to defend her and tells Peter to leave. Peter asks if she broke up with him because she's still in love with Josh, and Margot overhears this and says, "You're in love with Josh?" and storms inside. Later on, Laura Jean sees that a video of her and Peter making out in the hot tub has been posted to Instagram, and she screams. She goes to Margot for help, and Margot comforts her even though she was really upset with her. I love this relationship that they have. Laura Jean tells her that she wouldn't try to date Josh because she would never do that to Margot. And then Kitty comes in and admits that she was the one to mail the letters. Laura Jean says, "I'm gonna kill you." And there's a hilarious chase scene around the room with Margot trying to keep Laura Jean away from Kitty. Margot says, "If I can forgive you for writing my boyfriend a love letter, do you think you could forgive Kitty for sending them?" Then Margot gets Instagram to take down the video due to child pornography laws. And Laura Jean's voiceover says, "I couldn't believe I had inadvertently dabbled in porn before I lost my virginity, but it's been a strange year all around." There's a scene here somewhere where Laura Jean talks about how she needs to change her phone background, and her phone background is her napping with Peter. It turns out that that was actually a real shot that was taken on set when Noah and Lana fell asleep together. And I guess everyone thought it was really cute, so they took a picture of it. Laura Jean's down bad after the breakup. She's having a pretty hard time, so her dad takes her to the diner. And he says that she came alive when she was with Peter, and it reminded him so much of her mom. He tells her not to hide that part of herself because she opens up to the family, but she doesn't really open up to anybody else. And it's a very sweet father-daughter moment, and they talk about her mom a lot and how much they miss her. And I love John Corbett in this kind of role. He's really, really good. And there's a lot of comedic relief with his character too, even though he's going through so much. It's a very sweet moment. After Christmas break, on the first day back to school, Laura Jean finds a picture of her making out with Peter in the hot tub, and it's taped to her locker with the words, "It's always the ones you never expect." She confronts Peter for not telling people that they didn't have sex in the hot tub. And he tells everyone in the hallway that nothing happened in the hot tub, and if he hears anybody talking about Laura Jean or that video, he'll kick their asses. Then Laura Jean confronts Jen in the bathroom and tells her that she knows that she posted that video. Jen says that she's still mad that Laura Jean kissed Peter when playing Spin the Bottle in middle school. Laura Jean thinks to herself that it turns out she hasn't been as invisible as she thought. This one action from middle school that she thought nobody really remembered had really impacted Jen. Laura Jean has a conversation with Josh where she explains everything to him. And she says that he was the first boy she ever really liked, and she didn't realize how she felt about him until he became Margot's boyfriend. Then the feelings faded, and she missed him as her best friend. She says she didn't know that it wasn't love with him until Peter. So Peter gave her the kind of contrast that was like, oh, wait, I love Peter, not Josh. Even though Josh doesn't like Peter, he says that he likes how he stood up for her today in the hallway and tells her that she should talk to him. He says, "You've got to tell people how you feel when you feel it. You can't sit in your room writing love letters you're never going to send out." Laura Jean says that she's tired of writing love letters and it would be nice to receive them. Then Kitty brings out all of the notes that Peter had written her during their fake relationship because she had saved them all. Laura Jean reads them, and Josh says, "You still think you haven't gotten a love letter?" Then Laura Jean drives to see Peter at lacrosse practice, which is a huge deal because this entire movie she's kind of been afraid of driving and has been avoiding it at all costs. But she drives, and when she gets to the field, she says, "I need you to know that I like you, Peter Kavinsky, and not in a fake way. And so, I guess that's all I came here to say." Peter tells her that the reason he went to Jen's room that night of the ski trip was to tell her it was over because he's in love with Laura Jean. Then he says, "You gonna break my heart, Covey?" And they kiss. Laura Jean's narration says, "I'd always fantasized about falling in love in a field, but I just never thought it'd be the kind where you played lacrosse." And then the credits roll. But mid-credits, we see someone arrive at Laura Jean's door with flowers in hand. It's John Ambrose, one of the 5 recipients of Laura Jean's letters. So we know that the next movie is going to deal with John Ambrose showing up. Interestingly enough, the actor who plays John Ambrose in the end credits of this movie is not the same actor who plays John Ambrose in the next movie. In this movie, it's Jordan Burchett, but in the second movie, he's played by Jordan Fisher. And I couldn't really find out why, but it does seem like there was a little bit of drama with the recast. At least Jordan Burchett was not very happy about it. Which, of course, why would he be? But that's it. That's the end. Like I said, there was a second movie. It came out in 2020, and it was called To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You. And then in 2021, the third movie came out, and it's called To All the Boys, Always and Forever. I actually haven't seen either of those movies, so I'd be curious if you guys would want us to continue this series and do the other 2 for the podcast. But most recently, the little sister in this movie, Kitty, has gotten her own spin-off called XO Kitty. And I knew that XO Kitty was a Jeni Han show, but I had forgotten that she was the little sister in To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And I think it's so cute that they continued her story. That show came out in 2023, and I believe the second season just came out too. And I know some of you guys requested it and told us that we should watch it. I think it would be a cute little comfort show to watch anyway. If it's anything like The Summer I Turned Pretty, then I am all in. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really enjoyed getting to watch a cozy, comfort rom-com like this. You know I love a good teen movie, and I feel like this one is just so cute. I kind of wish I had this movie as a teenager, but all of Jeni Han's work really takes me back, you know what I mean? I would love to know what you guys think of the To All the Boys series, and if you've read the books, and what you think about the difference between the two. You can reach out to us on Instagram. Our handle is whatwe'rewatchingpod, or you can leave a comment on Spotify. And while you're at it, please consider leaving a 5-star rating wherever you listen. We really, really appreciate it. Alrighty, I'll see you next time. Bye!